Okay, and we're back with our last skill review for our Unit 2 homework. This is exercise Ex6-2 on page 147. Let's open up our Excel file and get started. Okay, step 1A of our skill review wants us to open our Excel file and save it as Ex6-T. So I'm going to go to the File menu, Save As, and I'm saving my exercise file to the desktop as Ex6-T and hitting save. Okay, moving right along, step 1B, open another instance of the workbook in a new window. Now for those of you who aren't used to working with Excel, this might mean that you go and you double click on the exercise file and you open it again. That would be incorrect. What we can do in Excel is open up multiple windows that are viewing the same file, and that way if we're dealing with a really big file, we can be working with two different parts of the file going back and forth at the same time, and that way we don't have to scroll way down dozens or hundreds or thousands of rows or scroll right across a number of columns. So let's see how you do that. Since we're working with views, that should give you a clue as to what area of the ribbon we're working with. It's going to be under the View tab. So I'm going to click the View tab. And over here you'll see this group called Window. That's where we're going to be working with for the next couple of steps. So here we want to open up a new window. So here's the New Window button right here. I just single click it. Okay, so here is our second window. You can tell this is the second window by looking up here at the title name, the title bar where it says Ex6-T XLSX2, meaning this is the second window viewing the same file. So let's see if this is really the case by hitting the Restore button over here so that it takes us out of Maximize View. And so you can see here that I've got two windows open. One of them says 1 here in the background, which is why it's grayed out a little bit, and this one says 2. So moving right along to step 1C, in the number 1 workbook, we need to activate the East sheet. So the number 1 workbook is this one here in the background, so I'm going to click that and put the other window behind it. Okay, I'm going to make sure East is the current sheet that's being viewed, and I see here it is. The next part is to activate the West sheet in the number 2 window. So I'm going to take myself out of maximum view by hitting the Restore button, this little middle button here on the right. So you see now I have these two windows. Number 1 here is East. I'm going to click over here to number 2, and I'm going to click on West. And so you see I have the West open down here and the East open in the other window. So now if I go to step 1D, it wants us to view the first window and the second window tiled horizontally, and then look at the workbooks in a vertical arrangement. So this is showing you how we can manipulate the size of the windows without dragging them back and forth. So it doesn't matter which window you start with. I'm going to go ahead and start with the second window here because it's the active one I got here on my screen. Under the View tab still, in this window group, there's this button here that says Arrange All. And that's where we can stack our open windows and you can see them in any sort of arrangement that we want. So I'm going to click that button, and here's our little Arrange Windows pop-up box that's going to ask us how we want the windows arranged. The instructions wanted us to look at them horizontally first, so I'm going to click the horizontal button and click OK. Now you can see here I've got the number 1 window down here on the bottom and the number 2 window here at the top. This view isn't real easy to work with because you can see we can only see a small part of the window here. If you work in this view, what I would recommend is minimizing the ribbon and getting it out of the way like I've done here, and that way you see a little more of the view. For the moment I am going to leave it like that and move on to the next part, which is to view the workbooks in a vertical arrangement. So I'm going to go to View. Again, it doesn't matter which window you're looking at. Click on the View tab, Arrange All, and Vertical. And now you'll see both windows stand up vertically. This is a little more typical if you're working with multiple windows of how you might do it vertical versus horizontal. Moving right along, step 1E, we want to hide the second instance of the window and then unhide it. So let's find the second instance is right here. Again, I'm going to go to the View tab because we're working with views. I'm going to hit my little pin here to keep my ribbon open from now on. And to hide the window, if you hold your mouse over this little middle button right here, Excel tells us that's the Hide Window button. So I'm going to go ahead and click it, and it disappears. I'm going to come over here to my number 1 window, and then try and find out how we unhide it. So again, we go to the View tab. I'm going to pin my little ribbon so it stays open. And right below the Hide button is another button that says Unhide. So I click that, and it's going to say, hey, is this the window you want unhidden? And I'm just going to make sure it's highlighted and click OK. And bam, now we're back to having 2 windows again. So that's pretty easy. It's just the book's trying to get you familiar with how to manipulate different windows of the same worksheet file, especially if the Excel certification test sort of asks you to save the file with a certain view, or asks you to open up multiple instances of the same window. You'll know how to do that. So to finish off step 1, we want to close the second instance and maximize our original workbook window. So I'm going to come over here to window number 2. I'm just literally going to hit the X. It goes away. It's not going to ask me if I want to save, since I technically still have the same file open. It doesn't have to save when you close a window. And then to maximize our last window here, I can either hit the maximize button, which is the middle one here on the right, or a quick tip is I can just double click up here on the name, and it will always maximize the Excel file to your current screen size. So that's it for skill 1.